Hi everyone, this is Casey from Teacup Chinese, and I wanted to do a very quick review of this textbook. It's called Intermediate Spoken Chinese, and as you can see, it is by Cornelius Kubler. There is a series of these books, so this is the intermediate one. There's also a Beginner's Spoken Chinese. That book I do not have. I will not be reviewing that. But yeah, anyway, this is going to be a very quick, very informal video. I might do a more in-depth review of this at some point, but I recently got this book and I really like it. So I'd like to quickly, do a first pass review for anyone that might be considering getting this. So, quick overview. Like I said, this is Intermediate Spoken Chinese. It follows on directly from the Beginner's book. So, if I go ahead and open this up, the book starts from Unit 11 and it goes up to Unit 24. So again, carrying on from the beginner's book. And each unit is broken down in the following way. So basically, you begin with the context, right? So they kind of set the scene as to what's going on. Every kind of unit is based on a certain sort of a certain scene that you might see in Taiwan or in Beijing, mainland China. So there's a basic conversation that happens. This conversation is usually between an American and a Chinese person. After that, so they introduce supplementary vocabulary, which is obviously just extra vocab to do with whatever topic that the conversation is about. So then after that, there's additional vocabulary. Not all units have this. This additional vocabulary is just building on what you've already learned. And it's just intended for people who want to sort of go above and beyond and really push themselves. Then you have the grammatical and cultural notes, where they break down certain grammar points, and they talk a lot about culture. So there might be certain phrases or whatever that they explain, sort of the cultural significance of these phrases and, the literal meanings and when they're used and stuff like that. Because obviously Chinese being a very different language, there's a lot of kind of set phrases and stuff that they use that you literally translated wouldn't make any sense. So it helps to get that sort of cultural overview of why things are the way they are. So I really like that. And then at the end of the unit, there's kind of a review and a study guide, which is nice too. But yeah, so let me quickly give you a look. I don't know if you'll be able to see this very clearly, but for example, this is the first unit. So this would be getting around Taipei. I should also mention that they kind of mix the Taiwanese variety of Chinese with the mainland variety, which I kind of like. So they give you both aspects, which is really cool. In case you don't know what that means, basically in Taiwan they have a slightly different pronunciation. The vocabulary is also slightly different. So certain words that they use in mainland, they have different words that they use in Taiwan. Of course, they can all understand each other, no problem. It's just, there's a difference in vocab slightly. The pronunciation, again, is a little bit different. So, like, for example, in northern China, you hear a lot of R, words ending in R. And in Taiwan, they pronounce, like, the sh sound as a s. So it's, yeah, there's a bit of a difference there. But you get both aspects in the book, which is cool. So if I just turn the page, you can see they start off with the conversation. Again, I'm sorry if you can't see this clearly, but I'll probably do a more in-depth review at some point, and I might post pictures as well on my website, and then you can check it out there. But anyway, one thing I really like is all the conversations and the Chinese that they present in the book is written in Pinyin, so there are no characters, all right? It's an intermediate book, but there are no characters. The reason I like that is because it is intermediate spoken Chinese, all right? So the aim of this book is to get you speaking at an intermediate level. It's not for you to learn characters, learn to read and write. Nope. It's purely spoken. So that's why I think this is actually a great way to learn to speak intermediate Chinese in a pretty short amount of time, because you're basically cutting out characters. Of course, not everyone is comfortable with that. I would totally understand if that turned you off. But if your goal is speaking, I think this is a really good book. And you could always get another resource for learning characters. In fact, this series does have a sort of a companion book for learning characters, so you could use that as well. But anyway, the last point I just want to mention, having a look at the grammatical and cultural notes here. The first thing you'll see is that there's a lot. So they really go quite in depth on the grammar and the cultural notes, which I think is fine for an intermediate book. I haven't seen the beginner book. It would probably be way too much for a beginner book. But for an intermediate book, I think it's great. I think the cultural stuff is super important. And I think grammar is very important as well, especially when you're at the kind of intermediate level. So yeah, I myself haven't really dug into this book too much. I've done a couple of the units. Most of the stuff I'm pretty familiar with already, so I know most of it, but it's really also nice for me to kind of go over stuff as well, because obviously in my current situation I don't get much chance to practice Chinese, so this is a great kind of chance to review some stuff that I might have got rusty at. So anyway, this has just been a quick informal look at intermediate spoken Chinese. Another thing, it's a big book, a lot of content in here, over 300 pages, in fact closer to 400 I think. Really nice book, I really like it. They bypass the characters completely, so you can just learn speaking, which I think is so cool. You can learn characters with other resources. But if you're kind of gotten past that beginner hump and you're really looking for something to get you to the point where you can actually have conversations and talk about meaningful things, or if you're going to China or Taiwan and you want to make sure that you can do everything you need to do, this is a really good book. I really, really like it. So I'm going to probably do a more in-depth review. I'll put that up on our website, www.teacupchinese.com. And yeah, so before I end off, I just want to quickly plug our Patreon. We did recently start a Patreon for Teacup Chinese. So if you enjoy these videos, if you enjoy our content, you can support us there for just $5 a month. You'll get access to our premium resource library. We have some PDF ebooks for download. We have Anki flashcard decks for download, and we're going to keep adding stuff there. So for as long as you're a Patreon, you'll have access to that page where you'll be able to download all our resources. And it's just a nice way to show your support. Cool. Thank you very much, guys, and I'll see you soon.